Okay, everybody, if you take a seat, it's 6:15. Okay, once again, thanks everybody for coming tonight. Before we begin our council meeting, we're going to have a public hearing, and I want to welcome Leanne Poole up to the stage, or wherever you'd like to stand, Leanne, to talk about this CBDG grant that we need to discuss tonight to be considered. She is our grant administrator. We thank her so much for being here, and I'm going to turn it over to her.
How about now? I'm a professional. I'm just kidding. I'm Leanne Poole. I work for Central Arkansas Planning and Development District, and Cabot is one of our members of our district. This particular grant public hearing that we're having is for the Community Development Block Grant Program, which is it's actually HUD money that comes to the state through the Arkansas Economic Development Commission. And what we want to do is look at potential projects that would work for this particular grant program. And what we have to do for this grant is we have to meet the eligibility criteria, which is to provide benefit to low and moderate income families, aid in the prevention of slum and blight, or meet other community needs which pose a serious or immediate threat to the health or welfare of the community where no other funding is available. And there's not many areas in Cabot that qualify for this program. However, through census data, we have found pockets that meet that low to moderate income area criteria. So what I need to know from you guys, and this is the whole purpose of this, sure. We need to see what the needs are of this community that you feel would fit the criteria of this particular grant. This grant program has money, $300,000 is what the grant is. It can be 100% grant. You get extra points, however, if you are able to, if the city or the community is able to put additional funds in. If it would be a new water or sewer program, they do have up to $1 million. But you guys are already served with water and sewer, so that's really not a project that we would be looking at. But we can look at some projects in this area that may be things that would qualify, would be water and sewer rehab, drainage, community centers, senior centers. I don't know if you're familiar with the Wade Knox Center in Lone Oak. They qualified for a program. There's things like that. I would just have to look case by case, but I would like to open the floor for suggestions of projects that you think is important for Cabot. Anybody? Come on, I know you got some problems. Shirley.
Locust Street.
Locust Street? No, not in particular with this grant, but there is a program, the transportation program, that would, what in particular are you speaking of having? So public transportation. Okay. Noted. Anything else? Joe, did you have a project? Where'd he go? There you are. Yes. We have checked the census data for that area, and that is a pocket of low to moderate income according to the census data. And we can apply for that. The grant program applications are due at the end of May, and we'll be working on that. But if there's anything else that anyone would like to think may be a good project we could look at, I really need you to talk up and let us know, because there's other programs out there we can look at. Okay, Mayor, I don't think we have anything else.
Well, thank you, Leanne. Once again, if anyone has anything they'd like to comment on or mention, now's your time before I close the public hearing. Seeing none, let it be known that the public hearing is closed at 6:21. Ben, legal opinion at 6:21. Meeting's not till 6:30. Can we begin now, or should we wait?
Unfortunately, the announced time of the meeting was at 6:30, so we need to wait.
Okay. So if you'd like to continue your conversations with people when you came in, please do so. We have 9 minutes.
There's a sign-in sheet going around. Everybody keep
Okay. There's a sign-in sheet going around on a clipboard. If you would sign in, we need that for the government grant data. Thank you so much. Okay, everybody, it's 6:30. We're going to go ahead and begin our city council meeting for this month. Thanks again for everyone being here tonight. We're going to start with the opening prayer. If y'all would stand up, Stephen Redd will be leaving us in the prayer, and then the Pledge of Allegiance will be by Ron Waymack.
Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight, Lord. Thank you so much for this day, and ask you to be with us, dear Lord, through this council meeting, that we make the right decisions, open-minded, dear Lord. And we thank you so much for all the hard work that our first responders did throughout the past week, and the street crews are keeping us safe. And Lord, help us make the best decisions we can. Yes, in Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Roll call, please, Tammy.
Long.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Red.
Here.
Hillenberg.
Here.
Cope.
Here.
Reed.
Here.
Weber.
Here.
Waymack.
Here.
Okay, everyone's present. Next item is a mayoral presentation of the Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Proclamation. If Ms. Abbott would come up with her colleagues. Thank you, ladies, for coming tonight. Got this proclamation here for you. We proudly want to present to you. Whereas females between the ages of 16 and 24 are more vulnerable to intimate partner violence, experiencing abuse at the rate almost triple the national average. And 1 in 3 adolescent girls in the United States is a victim of physical, emotional, or verbal abuse from a dating partner, a figure that far exceeds victimization rates for other types of violence affecting youth. And high school students who experience physical violence in a dating relationship are more likely to use drugs and alcohol, are at a greater risk of suicide, as much more likely to carry patterns of abuse into future relationships. And young people victimized by a dating partner are more likely to engage in risky sexual behavior and unhealthy dieting behaviors, and the experience may disrupt normal development of self-esteem and body image. And nearly half of teens who experience dating violence report that incidents of abuse took place in a school building or on the school grounds. And whereas by providing young people with education about healthy relationship and relationship skills, and by changing attitudes that support violence, we recognize that dating violence can be prevented. And whereas it is essential to raise community awareness and to provide training for teachers, counselors, and school staff so that they recognize when youth are exhibiting signs of dating violence. And whereas the establishment of Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month will benefit young people, their families, and communities, regardless of their socioeconomic status, gender, sexual orientation, or ethnicity. And whereas everyone has a right to a safe and healthy relationship and to be free from abuse. Now, therefore, I, Ken Kincaid, Mayor of Cabot, do hereby proclaim February 2021 as Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month. Thank you. Thank you, ladies, for all you do.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, he wants a picture.
Oh, super.
You like that? You'd like to say something?
Thank you, Mayor Kincaid and the City Council. I would like to brag on what Mayor Kincaid and the City Council and the City of Cabot has just done. This is the first official proclamation that we're aware of by any town in the state of Arkansas recognizing Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. I want to thank Mayor Kincaid and his staff and the city for being so willing to come through during the snowstorm, the electrical outages, and the pandemic, and back up the legislation that was passed in 2015 in Act 952. So once again, thank you to the city and the town and the mayor of Cabot for their groundbreaking work.
Thank you, ladies. Okay, next item is the approval of minutes from last meeting. Do I have a motion?
A motion.
I got a motion from James, a second from
Second.
Matt to approve the minutes from the last meeting. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, roll call vote, please, Tammy.
Long,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Red,
Yes.
Hillenberg,
Yes.
Cope,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Waymack.
Yes.
Passes 8-0. Next item is read ordinances and resolutions by title only.
Make a motion to read ordinances and resolutions by title only.
I'll second.
I got a motion by Matt Weber, a second by James Reed, to read ordinances and resolutions by title only. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please, Tammy.
Long,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Red,
Yes.
Hillenberg,
Yes.
Cope,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Waymack.
Yes.
Passes 8-0. Next item is City Council old business. First item is ordinance number 5 of 2021. Please, Tammy.
Number 5 of 2021, an ordinance to rezone part of the northeast 1/4, southwest 1/4, section 19, South Pine Street, Cabot, Lonoke County, Arkansas, from C-2, R-1 to R-4H, amending the land use plan, declaring an emergency, and for other purposes. Second reading.
Laura, do we need any action? Okay. Council, would you like any action? Okay, seeing none. Next item, Tammy, Resolution 4 of 2021.
Number 4 of 2021, a resolution appointing Ashley Little to the Cabot Parks and Recreation Commission and for other purposes.
Thank you, Tammy. I have Ashley here tonight. Would you come up to the podium in case council has any questions for you? I think his CV and everything is in the package. You want to tell him a little bit about yourself, Mr. Little?
Ashley Little, I'm 51 years old. I come here to Cabot in 94, and I actually ran for city council because I wanted to step forward and serve the citizens of Cabot, and I've been asked to serve on the Parks and Recreation Committee, and I definitely would accept that, and I would appreciate y'all's support. I do have some experience in overseeing budgets and finances, and I'm all about a healthy community, and I believe that Parks and Recreation promotes a healthy family, physically healthy, and a healthy community. So I appreciate y'all's support.
Make a motion, we adopt ordinance 4 of 2021.
A second.
I got a motion from Ed, a second from Michael to adopt ordinance number 4 of 2021. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please, Tammy.
Weber,
Yes.
Waymack,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Red,
Yes.
Hillenberg,
Yes.
Cope,
Yes.
Reed.
Yes.
Passes 8-0. Welcome to the commission.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate the appointment. Appreciate the support, Council. Thank you.
Any more old business, council? I don't have any on the agenda, but just want to ask. Seeing none, next item is city council new business. First item is ordinance number 6 of 2021.
Ordinance number 6 of 2021, an ordinance to amend Article 4 of the Unified Development Code and for other purposes. First reading.
We don't need any of these waived, council, unless y'all want some action. Seeing none, next item, Tammy, ordinance number 7 of 2021.
Ordinance number 7 of 2021, an ordinance approving a waiver for sidewalks along Arnold Palmer Drive, Lot 1, RR, and for other purposes. First reading.
Please come up. Please state your name and address, sir.
Trevor Smith, 204 Morningside Drive, Austin, 72007.
Council, Mr. Smith would like to waive the sidewalks along Arnold Palmer Drive for the property that the house he just built a house on. And he wanted the second and third reading waived and emergency clause if you would allow it. So please, Mr. Smith, if you would like to tell the council why you'd like it waived.
Absolutely. On the Georgetown final plat, lots 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, and 33 all require sidewalks. These are on the road of Sawgrass Street. None of these homes have sidewalks as required by the plat. Existing houses built on lots 28, 29, 31, 32, and 33. Several of these houses have been built in the last 3 or 4 years. The remaining 2 lots, lots 27 and 30, are owned by the adjacent homeowner. The adjacent homeowner has been maintaining that lot for privacy with no intention to sell that lot. One vacant lot has private property signs on it. The other lot maintains a dog run and garden areas. They're asking me to abide to that same plat that has a requirement on there for lot 1, have a sidewalk that runs along Arnold Palmer. I'm going to pass these out as I go. There's pictures on here. If you'll just pass them down, I appreciate it. The Sawgrass is one road over from Cypress Point, and Cypress Point has lot 10 has the golf course immediately to the north of it. Where that golf course is about 200 feet. There is no sidewalk across the golf course that are going to be there. The lot directly north of that, which is 25 Water's Edge, has a house existing there built in the last 4 or 5 years. There is no sidewalk along Arnold Palmer there. There would be approximately, that'd be about 350 feet of sidewalk that would have to be put in by the city. And then on my lot, it's the entrance to the subdivision of Georgetown.
Sir, could you speak into the mic?
Yes.
Thank you.
Georgetown has existed for approximately 16 years. The plat was done in 2004. The subdivision has a sign right there to the right of my lot, which would be to the east. There's approximately a 18 by 153 foot area that has been maintained by the homeowner association. Initially it was by the developer. That area has been undisturbed. It has gas force mains in it, many utilities, and then also it has the water, the irrigation, and all that's for the signage of the subdivision. There was a plat and then a replat. The original plat, 2004, has a sidewalk required. The replat in 2016 does not have the sidewalk on it as required. On that replat, which I'll give you both of those as well. I have not disturbed that area at all during the building because it has been maintained for 20 years. The area also has no approach for a sidewalk as a normal developer would put in there with the ADA, braille on the sidewalk, etc. None of that is there. The slope across that and where the subdivision sign is located, the utilities, and the curb, the slope is too much of a slope in order to bring in an ADA sidewalk. ADA sidewalk is 1% cross slope, 1 inch every 100 feet. going the other direction, and either way would be able to be graded to that. The sidewalk would basically go to nowhere. I know that's not the best example, but it's not required for a lot of foot traffic. Directly across the street, across Arnold Palmer, to the north, I guess, on Cypress Point, the same street that we're talking about, 2 houses over from the house that I've built, sidewalks exist on the first house on 1501 Cypress Point. Then no sidewalk exists where they're required by plat on the second, the third, and the fourth houses, respectively 1503, 1505, 1507 Cypress Point. All existing houses built within the last 5 years, no sidewalk. I said earlier, 25 is Water's Edge, which is the house to the north, across the golf course, backs up to the back of the house that I've built. It was built within the last 5 years. In fact, I built the house. No sidewalk along Arnold Palmer and no sidewalk on the golf course along Arnold Palmer was required to get a certificate of occupancy. It is on the plat. At that time, it wasn't required. I didn't look it up. I didn't have to go to city council. The city said, hey, you're good to go. Here's your CO. There's a sidewalk across it on Water's Edge, across the front, but not on Arnold Palmer. Just down the street on 25 Water's Edge, to just show the consistencies, or actually the inconsistencies. 15 Water's Edge, the homeowner owns the adjacent lot. The homeowner maintains the adjacent lot for privacy. They maintain it for several years, and there's no sidewalk there. Cobblestone subdivision. The house at the corner of the 100 Cobblestone has the exact same layout as Cypress Point. 10 Cypress Point is the one that I'm building the house on. The subdivision has the sign on the lot by the side of the house. The sidewalk stops at the house behind it and then never comes to the corner. Cobblestone never installed along the front of that subdivision sign either. This is an exact example of how it has been handled in the past with the subdivision sign, no sidewalk put in there, no requirement, because this was developed and put together by the developer. The developer, if needed a sidewalk, should have put that in instead of the homeowner. And the homeowner never put it in, the city never required it. In my letter, I asked for the waiver on the sidewalk there. The established 25 by 153 area has been there for 20 years, or 16 years, pardon me. That area has multiple utilities in it, has gas force mains, electrical, sewer, and fiber optic lines in there. In order to get the slope to the required ADA, we would have to dig down, which would expose some of those utilities to the depth that they'd have to be deeper, which would cause a great deal of work. The city is asking, or the Public Works, by requirement, is asking that we put a sidewalk there, and I say a sidewalk to nowhere with no foot traffic. The only thing that the city would be gaining there is a maintenance issue, and they would have to maintain that sidewalk after I put it in. This is current pictures of sidewalks in Greystone that are supposed to be maintained by the city that aren't, and you'll see that by looking at the pictures. The next three examples, or four examples here, are different areas throughout Greystone from the front to the back, not just the new area, not just the old area. 702 Greystone Boulevard, sidewalk exists. 704, sidewalk exists. 706, no sidewalk. These are all existing houses. 74 Greystone Boulevard, sidewalk exists. The lot next to it, no sidewalk. It's vacant, however, it is owned and has been owned for many years by the person at 78 Greystone Boulevard. They've maintained it and they had an adjacent lot for privacy. That's the only reason. They have no intention to sell it and they haven't sold it. 600, 602, 604, no sidewalk exists, no sidewalk exists, no sidewalk exists. And then some of the pictures that you saw in the maintenance connect to that poorly maintained hill that goes down. That's a sidewalk that the city's there, that the city put in, has not been maintained, but the adjacent lots, no requirement to put a sidewalk in, or no enforcement of the requirement to put the sidewalk in. Several years ago, in 2003, I developed Mystery Lake in Greystone. At that time, I was required, as the developer, to put the city sidewalk in where the subdivision sign was, where my water was that was going to that subdivision sign to water the little bit of landscaping there, where the electric was to light up the sign at night so people could pull into their house. And I was required to put that sidewalk all the way down to about 200 foot on the inside. Now, this is covered with snow, but it goes from there all the way down the street, okay? This is something that should have been done in Georgetown, or should have been done with other developments as they were developed, because that part of that land is a no man's land. And sometimes when they do the plats, these are the engineers sitting in a room and think about what's going to happen in 20 years from now, how it's going to affect people, or what it's going to do. The area there has been maintained for 16 years, and disturbing it and changing it is worthless to the city, because you're going to inherit a sidewalk that goes nowhere except 153 feet. There's no plans to put in the sidewalk across the golf course, because it's a private golf course. There's no plans on 52, and there's multiple other areas to spend the city's money in Greystone to create sidewalk maintenance, number one, that already exists, and number two, other areas. And if you require no sidewalk on Sawgrass, same subdivision I'm in, on 27 through 33, no sidewalks there and those houses exist, but then you're requiring me to put one with the same things. It's not consistent, it's not fair, it's not required.
Okay, council, I think we've seen a lot of the information here. For those new on the council, the reason we're hearing about this and it's not going to planning commissions because only the council can waive sidewalks. So if you have any questions for Mr. Smith, if you would issue those now to him.
Mr. Smith?
Yes, sir.
So you built 25 Water's Edge?
I did.
I drove out there today. I took a peek. Does it got a sidewalk running in front of it?
It does across the front on Water's Edge.
Okay. And the side sidewalk which goes down Arnold Palmer was not required at the time, correct?
Yes,
But you got a CO on it?
sir. I did.
Okay. So my question, I guess, Mr. Mayor, is maybe we need to get somebody up here from Public Works and ask them how much it's going to cost to run the sidewalk from 25 Water's Edge across the golf course and tie into Mr. Smith's sidewalk on 10 Cypress Point.
Can I interject real quick? Sure. I had a memorandum of understanding from the city. We were supposed to close on this house prior to this meeting, so they said, hey, we can give you a CO if you put down money to secure basically the side. Property that I'm supposed to put in. The city gave me a quote of $8,929.44. Required me to put up $9,000. The sidewalk, if I put it in, would be $2,600. This is 3 times that amount, and also in this same requirement, I asked if I could retain the right to come to this meeting and later on put the sidewalk in at my cost. The answer was no. The answer says, the city agrees the funds will go towards the installation of sidewalk, issue that any unportioned or any unused portion of the sidewalk after installation of sidewalk can be returned to Smith. However, Smith acknowledges the city will likely use the entire amount to install the sidewalk, and the city has no obligation to attempt to mitigate project costs for the total amount to come in under $9,000. So I had asked to retain the right. I was denied the right by the mayor, I was denied the right by the city attorney, and I was denied the right by the city, Public Works. This is a copy of that memorandum. And so in answer to your question, if we go off of this number, 153 feet is $9,000. So you go ahead and figure out what another 300 foot is. And then I would say, if we're going to do that 300 foot, what about all the rest of the examples I've shown you in Greystone at this cost? Because I promise you, I would love to have that contract to do sidewalks at that price.
Brandon, just to answer your question, you know, the mayor's office always follows the letter of the law. This was run by Ben Hooper, our city attorney. It comes to y'all if you want to waive sidewalks, not me. We gave them the option that, hey, if you want to go ahead and close, give us the money. You can get your house closed, get your tenant in there, and then you come before council to see what they want to do. And that's the way it works. And our engineers gave us that estimate.
So was it waived on 25 Water's Edge, Mr. Mayor?
I have no idea, sir. When did you build 25 Water's Edge?
About 4.5 years ago.
So that would have been under Bill Seifert's. Ed, do you remember, James? You were on the planning commission then. I know you couldn't do that, but do you remember the council waiving?
No, we did not waive it. We haven't waived a sidewalk for any subdivision in 8 to 10 years.
Has the laws changed any since then on sidewalks?
No, it has not.
That brings us here tonight rather than been in effect about 12, 15 years. The reason that it is in effect is because we were in a loop of waiving sidewalks, and whenever we would apply for a grant to do sidewalks, like around Central or some other place, just use that as an example, Metro Plan got to the point where they were turning us down and they said, you just waived those sidewalks, now you want to bring them and put them in. So the reason the council at that time passed this ordinance was the elected official was going to have to waive the sidewalks. That made Metro Plan happy, and the mayor can say how much great money he's gotten to come his administration to do sidewalks because of that.
So,
Because of that. That's the reason that you're in front of us tonight.
okay. So my understanding is on 25 Water's Edge, it just slipped through the cracks.
Then that was a whole different staff 4 years ago.
Understood.
We're just trying to follow the letter of the law.
I would just say that in my review, and you can see it for yourself, and that was what the point of this is, it's more out of principle than it is out of trying to buck the system or anything like that, because it's a $2,600 sidewalk at the end of the day. But the statute that says I have to put a sidewalk in because it's on a plat it foregoes common sense. And it foregoes common sense because I had you, the city attorney, my time, your time, all these people's time about this $2,500 sidewalk that the city wants to spend or charge me $10,000 for, where we could have had a 5-minute common sense situation with your public works director and myself go to the site and say, well, yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense. And I could have presented this to them instead of you and said here at the council and said, hey, is this common sense that we need to have a sidewalk here that goes to nowhere in this situation? And oh, by the way, if we're going to make him do this one, then why haven't we made all these other people do theirs? And why haven't we maintained the ones that we already have? And why haven't we gone back and put in those ones that we screwed up on, because there's no desire to, there's no need to, and we're not following the statute because it's not being done. And I can tell you those houses, most of those houses have been there, are built in the last 3 to 4 years that I've showed you. Very few of them are longer than that. Now, I know the sidewalks that are there, that are some of the sidewalks damaged, they've been there, but again, there's no maintenance there, there's nothing to it. And it's foot traffic, and I said it in my letter, foot traffic that should derive whether or not you need to have a sidewalk. I mean, if I'm going to put a sidewalk on the side of my lot and it's going to nowhere and it's not coming from anywhere, then I'm not generating foot traffic, and all I'm doing is creating a maintenance problem for the city to spend that money, that make that guy do it and spend that money. And that's the problem. And then when you have places where it is good foot traffic, which a lot of these, along Greystone Boulevard, a lot of foot traffic. I mean, there's a white line painted on the inside of both sides of the Greystone Boulevard that says bike path, walking path, and then there's a sidewalk right outside of it. And then there's no sidewalk for 3 houses, and then there's a sidewalk. There's no sidewalk for 3 houses. So it's completely inconsistent, and it's not being enforced properly at all.
Mayor, if I could.
Sure, sir.
This was a bond engineering project. They put this development together. Their preliminary plat showed sidewalks in the whole subdivision. When you built, you put them in. They're on the plat for a reason. Now, that may not connect at this point, but somewhere down the road it may connect.
Okay.
And if we have one child out in that road, because there's not a sidewalk available that's killed or hurt, then, you know, what have we saved the $2,500 for? You've done this on the other lots, and if it's only going to cost you $2,500 to do it according to the way the plat was written, I don't know why you're here.
Okay. Well, this plat was written, and then there's a replat. The plat has it on it. The replat doesn't have it on it.
Are you looking at a plat?
The same requirement. I'm going to say this to you.
Final plat or preliminary plat?
No,
Final plats are only for the county.
Final plat filed and a replat. So the final plat was done in 2014, or 2004, excuse me. The replat was done in April 18, 2016. No requirement in 2016 for a sidewalk, requirement in 2004 for a sidewalk. Now, if you're going to hold one person, and this is what I'm saying to you, if you're going to hold one person, this is where the problem is. It's not the $2,500, and the safety of a child walking down Arnold Palmer doesn't rest on the builder, and it doesn't rest on city council. It rests on the parent to let that kid walk out in the street. So put the responsibility where it rests, on that parent that needs to take that kid and keep them off that busy road. Now, secondly, this is supposed to be the Bible here, and you're telling me that all down Sawgrass, same subdivision, one street over, the same subdivision, all those lots that it lists right there on the sheet that I showed you, it says, you're going to say, lots which require the construction of sidewalks as indicated on this plat. I gave you a copy of that and you saw it. 1, 26, all the way through 42. When I look at Sawgrass Road has 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. All of those are on this sheet right here. None of those have a sidewalk. All of those have houses on them except for 2. The 2 that don't have houses on them, they're not putting houses on them, and they're not required either. So what I'm getting at is if this is supposed to be just for me, then why isn't it for the other 7 people that have houses in it?
It is for all of them.
Okay.
And then
So you can hold them to one standard and me to another?
no, we hold all to the same standard. The same standard is sidewalks.
Okay, so then how is the city taking care of all of those sidewalks that I just showed you that don't exist, that were required to exist? And there's more. That's just what I took the time to show you in Greystone. That doesn't include everywhere else that there's the same problem. The city and the city council has a problem with this. Subdivisions that I developed when I developed in Texas, I will tell you flat out, you put the sidewalk in as the developer when you put in the roads and the sewer and the water. The grade was set, the sidewalks were set, and yes, if you had to put a driveway, the homeowner or the builder had to cut that part or bring the sidewalk straight across, so you had the grade set and you didn't have a problem with ADA. It was all set. Now you're telling me that you're going to hold, for how many years you said? 14 years? We've never had a waiver? Okay, great. Whatever it was. I don't know the exact number. We've never had a waiver. And you pride yourself on that. You do. And he said, for the grant money. Let me give you an example about how you get money. If I'm in the school system, which I know Maggie Cope knows, what do we teach in Cabot schools? The test, the test, the test. Why? So we can get money for our school. But those kids don't know multiplication, division, subtraction. They don't know it. I can ask them, do this sheet, and they don't know it. But we taught the test, teach the test, teach the test, teach the test, because we want the grant money. That's what this is about. We want grant money. Okay, then let's get grant money, but don't lay it back on the builders to do this, because you're not doing it consistently. You have no plan to fix all of the stuff that's already been there. Administration changed, great, but you have no plan to fix it. There's no money to fix it. If you're requesting grants and you're not getting them, then there's no money. If the city can't maintain a simple sidewalk situation, why are they requesting to put others out there that go nowhere?
I will say that I take exception to our school system the way you're portraying our students, because we have one of the best school systems in the state of Arkansas.
I don't disagree with that we have a good school system. I do disagree with the fact that we're teaching a test and the kids are taking a test and those kids still don't know the basic subtraction, addition, multiplication, division. I had 3 daughters go through the school. I have 2 valedictorians and I have a 3rd one, and the 3rd one I can tell you doesn't know it. Doesn't know it, yet she was passed on. So I have firsthand experience, sir, and I have 2 valedictorians in your school system.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I think we've digressed a bit, but I understand his situation. My question is a bigger question. If these sidewalks are on the plat and they are required, and these houses were built, but we were not going according to the checklist on the inspections, and these houses were built and no sidewalk was put in, where was the inspection?
Matt, it was prior administration. I don't know.
I'm not pointing the finger at you.
That's why
I'm
we're
just
here
wondering
today,
how
because
these, if it was 1 or 2, you know, I have not had an opportunity to go out and look at this. If it was 1 or 2 houses that may have fallen through on that, getting these sidewalks, but as many as this gentleman has showed us, this is ridiculous, in my opinion, how that many sidewalks could not have been installed. But I know that doesn't pertain to this gentleman, so anyway.
I agree. Do y'all want to hear from Laura at Public Works? Anything regarding this?
Well, as you said, I think it was prior administration, so I don't know that we can hold Laura to the fire, but I
Well, I
mean,
didn't
from
know if
this
she could
point
shed any
forward,
light on it
it
that I
has
didn't.
to be held to the fire.
Laura's doing her job
If-
in the current administration.
Mayor, if Laura or Joe could maybe shed some light on this, I don't know if either one of them can, but I think it's nothing but fair that we do hear
Sure.
from municipal services.
Sure. Come on up, Laura. Please.
I know nobody wants to hear this over, as the mayor has already said. I've said this multiple times on other things. There's nothing I can do about prior administrative mistakes. From day one, all I have done is enforce the codes that we have. I understand Mr. Smith's frustration with this. I can't help that. That is why he's here tonight. So if y'all have any questions, I can try to answer the best I can.
Yeah, Mr. Smith, I have to follow the law. That's why we're here. I can't waive. By our rules, I can't waive. It's got to be these guys. And lady.
It's the principle behind it, because, and the way I look at this is for years, we've had this, we want to grant money, so we've got to have sidewalks. Don't come to, I mean, I was told not to come here because I wouldn't get a waiver. Flat out told, you will not get a waiver on sidewalks. They don't give them, they don't do them, you will not get a waiver. I was told it's because of grant money. And I said, well, this doesn't make any sense, because you're expecting me to write a $10,000 check to the city to put in a $2,500 sidewalk that is not going to get more foot traffic. It's not going to prevent some kid from running out in the street, because if the sidewalk's there and the kid runs out in the street, he ran out in the street. It's not going to do anything but provide a maintenance issue for the city of Cabot in Greystone that they already can't handle and aren't handling, by my recollection of looking at sidewalks. And that's just one day of driving through one subdivision. And this is nothing about her. She has done her job. She does her job tremendously. She does her job excellently. So I have nothing wrong with her. I do have problems with the fact that I couldn't retain the right of having $2,500 to do the sidewalk myself, because basically you're looking for a bond to ensure that the sidewalk gets done if the city council says you have to have the sidewalk. Okay, that was all it was for, but let's triple it? No. And then, you know, hey, we've got plans, and I know because this is a conversation, we've got plans to put those sidewalks in. I don't see them, and I've been building in Greystone since 2000. I've put a subdivision in there, Mystery Lake. I've put in many, many, many sidewalks across the front and the side of houses up there. 50, 60, 75 houses at least that I put sidewalks in. And I put them into ADA requirement. This one makes no sense. It tears up your subdivision sign. It tears up that ground. It doesn't make sense. There's no sidewalk there. There's no approach there to do it. It doesn't make sense. And you're not going to put one across a private golf course, and the house is behind it. No one required me to put one there. And I didn't have to get a waiver, and I didn't ask any favors. I just did what they told me to get a CO.
Laura, I have a question. Is that true that we cannot put the sidewalk over the golf course to attach to 25 Water's Edge?
There is right-of-way there for the city to put in sidewalk.
Okay, Mr. Smith, this is kind of how this works. That's why I let you come up. Usually, you wouldn't come up until we ask for a second and third reading, but I know you need to close in your house. We kind of did it a little out of order here. So, yes, sir, you're welcome. So basically, council, every ordinance has to have 3 readings. So council has to, by 2/3 vote, has to say yes to waive the second and third before they can vote on this ordinance. So
Will this be open to public comment?
if it gets to voting on the ordinance, it will, yes, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So the first action would be if there's a motion and a second to waive the second and third reading of ordinance number 7 of 2021.
I make that motion.
And I'll second the motion.
I got a motion from Brandon and a second from James to waive the second and third reading of ordinance number 7 of 2021. Any further discussion? What this is if we get this, then we go to the ordinance part. Okay. Council, any discussion?
I just wanted to say, I don't know what the outcome of the vote's going to be, Mr. Smith, but I appreciate you bringing this to our attention.
Thank you very much. And that's, it's the principle behind this. It's not the $2,500. It's not the sidewalk. It's the principle behind it.
And if I made any comments earlier that indicated that I thought Laura or Joe had any responsibility in this, that was not I was not going there.
Duly noted. Okay, any other discussion?
Mayor, let me clarify. I wasn't either. I was not throwing any dispersions on anybody.
yes, sir.
But I just felt like that it was fair for the city side of it to be heard as well. That's the only reason I said what I did.
Yes, sir. I think Mr. Hillenberg asked for Lori as well, so that makes 3 of you. Okay, seeing no other discussion, Tammy, roll call vote on waiving the second and third reading of ordinance number 7 of 2021.
Long,
No.
Jones,
Yes.
Red,
Yes.
Hillenberg,
Yes.
Cope,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Waymack.
Passes 6-2. Next, now action on ordinance number 7 of 2021. Any action?
So the waiver or the prior administration didn't, I guess we're saying that didn't enforce this? And
That's
then-
what it seems to be. I don't know if there was somebody that was in the administration offices as the mayor or as the public works, just let it be overlooked, or what happened. We're just trying to, like I said, this administration's just following the law.
Let me just say one thing to your question. I think in a 16-year time period is what we're talking about. A plat that was done, it's 2004 by Bond Engineering, Aaron or whoever signed it in 2004, and then you have, sometimes you have multiple owners of the subdivision because it goes under and comes back. Sometimes you have different people there in the administrations, that's fine. But then you have replats. And if you look, sometimes you have replat, and typically we go off of the most current replat. When an engineer like Randy Jones does a plot plan, or he looks at the plats, he looks at the most current plat. And so if it's a replat and it doesn't have a sidewalk on it, then there is no sidewalk requirement, or the sidewalk requirement gets alleviated, forgotten, missed. You could probably say all of that, but when it gets missed or forgotten or not done, then it's not on the top of the permit that says city sidewalk, yes or no. That's how it's handled in the city, is they put it on it's either on the plot plan when you turn it in, and then it's a check on the checkbox on the top, yes or no. I can see that being missed. I can see that being, enforced, not enforced, both ways, because then the permit goes in the box on the house, and it rains, snows, does whatever, and sometimes that permit is not there. Now, they're taking it from, used to be all paper to all digital, so that helps. But again, I could see it being missed somewhere, or a replat being done, or two lots being platted as one, replatted, goes through the whole process, no sidewalk on there, goes to the city, no sidewalk on there. I mean, that's one reason it may get missed.
Okay, I need some action on ordinance 7 of 2021, if there is going to be any.
I make a motion to adopt ordinance number 7 of 2021.
Mayor, is there going to be public comment on this?
Not until we get a second, sir. But you can, yes, sir.
So I thought that was the second, sorry.
No, that was the first. That's a motion. Anyone second? Did I miss it?
I didn't hear it.
I'll go ahead and second.
I got a motion by Hillenberg, a second by Weber, to adopt the ordinance number 7 of 2021. Council's okay if I open up public discussion first? Okay. Mickey?
John Spillane, 1592 Calcutta Drive. I'm the president of the POA out at Greystone. We have 600 members, and we're trying to get sidewalks. That's all we want. We just want sidewalks. It's easy. I wanted this to be delayed for one more reading so that I could go back and I can talk to everybody after I understood the issue as it was discussed here. But apparently, the second and third reading is now waived. So this is the only shot I got. Cabot wants to be big time, and then they go, you can be big time but without sidewalks. We need them all over the city. This has been an ongoing thing that's frustrated you, it's frustrated me, it's frustrated all of our citizens. I don't know how we get this solved. And I'm sure that we don't need this sidewalk. I'm doggone sure that we do not need that sidewalk right there. But once again, as you brought up, kind of misses the point. Because when I go over that hill and I go down Arnold Palmer, there are no sidewalks on Arnold Palmer that go up over the hill. You're either in the road or you don't go over the hill. And I really hate to say this, but if we're trying to put sidewalks in, and we start saying, hey, look here, and you're probably going to go right through one of my signs, which is going to suck. But look, we're going to have to make a decision. Either we're going to have sidewalks, and we're either going to do it, or we're not. And I know that we got a whole bunch of holes in our sidewalks. I hear about it every single week. I hear about holes in the sidewalk. I've been working on this for 5 years myself. Please vote the way that your heart should, which is, if Cabot's going to be big time, we need sidewalks. And if we're going to have sidewalks, we have to start now. Peace.
Thank you, Mr. Spillane. Anyone else? Anyone from the council? Mr. Smith, any last words?
I sit here humbly before all of you. I don't want to be aggressive on this or anything. Again, it's not the $2,500, and it's like he said, I'm sure we don't need a sidewalk there. Well, there's no sidewalks on Arnold Palmer. Where we've wanted sidewalks on plats and needed sidewalks on plats, they were missed. They weren't done. They weren't enforced. But I humbly ask you on this case, vote as your heart says, but this one situation, if I have to tear through his sign and put a sidewalk there and do all that, okay, we'll do all that. But maybe that part falls to the developer that does the development. And they put that in, and that's how they do it. When they put their subdivision sign in, they put a development sidewalk in, they grade it out like it should be, and that's done in the beginning. But again, it's more than just a $2,500 sidewalk. It is a serious problem, and this is just one area in Greystone. One area in the city as far as what we do and how we maintain it. I know later on, there's an $89 million package being presented, and I think to myself, and this is no cut on the current administration or anything, an $89 million project, how are we going to handle that if we can't handle a $2,500 sidewalk and the maintenance of all those other sidewalks? And that's just a realistic statement. When I ask for $20 million for internet, I better have some good people that are going to put that in, contractors, because the city can maybe manage the money, but not that project. That has to be done. If we could do the other stuff in baby steps and we prove that, then maybe we can do that. I mean, I'm not trying to be ugly to anybody, but I'm saying that this is an issue. He said right there, it's an issue that's been here for years. And the solution isn't just blanket put in sidewalks. That doesn't work. Put in sidewalks where they're most likely needed, where we can maintain them. And when we put in a sidewalk, we think about how much it costs to maintain that, and how often do I have to replace it, and how often do I have to send somebody out there and fix a square? How often do I have to move that sidewalk or put it in because I have major utilities underneath it that have a problem? Again, I appreciate my time today. Appreciate all of you listening. Appreciate all the questions. And I'll leave it to you to vote.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Council, anything else? Audience, just one more time. Seeing no one. Yeah, go ahead.
So, this land, right, that they want this sidewalk on, are there any current homes that you built already that passed inspection and whatnot? Or is there no development? I can't remember.
Georgetown subdivision has 2 lots remaining in the cul-de-sac at the end of it. The gentleman wants $120,000 for that no one's going to probably put a house on down there very soon. The other 2 lots that are vacant in there are owned by the adjacent homeowners. Across the street, when you go down Cypress Point, there's all kinds of houses down there on all sides. That's what I'm saying. When you go across the street, there's sidewalks missing. 2 houses up, for 4 houses in a row. In front of homes. And every picture that I sent them, it was an address.
Correct.
It was usually a sidewalk in front of one house and then missing 2.
Correct.
Missing
But
3.
those homes have already been built and passed inspection, right?
Yes.
Sounds like a city issue.
Okay, anyone else? Seeing none, council, roll call vote, please, Tammy, on
Long.
adoption of ordinance 7 of 2021. Thank you, I'm sorry.
Sorry. Long,
No.
Jones,
No.
Red,
No.
Hillenberg,
Yes.
Cope,
Yes.
Reed,
No.
Weber,
No.
Waymack.
Yes.
Fails 5-3. Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you.
Next item is resolution number 8 of 2021. Please, Tammy.
Number 8 of 2021, a resolution designating nonprofit agency as CDBG grant administrator and for other purposes.
Council, what this is what Mrs. Poole did tonight. This is designating them as our CDBG grant administrator. Any action?
Make a motion to adopt resolution number 8 of 2021.
I got a motion by Ed, a second by James, to adopt resolution number 8 of 2021. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, roll call vote, please, Tammy.
Waymack,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Red,
Yes.
Hillenberg,
Yes.
Cope,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Passes 8-0. Next item is resolution number 9 of 2021.
Resolution number 9 of 2021, a resolution authorizing the submittal of an application for ACEDP grant funds to the state of Arkansas to adopt the Citizen Participation Plan and for other purposes.
This is also about the grant from the public hearing tonight. Any action?
I make a motion to adopt resolution number 9.
And I second.
We got a motion from James, a second from Brandon, to adopt resolution number 9 of 2021. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please, Tammy.
Reed,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Waymack,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Red,
Yes.
Hillenberg,
Yes.
Cope.
Yes.
Passes 8-0. Last item is resolution number 10 of 2021.
Number 10 of 2021, a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk treasurer to enter into an agreement with LEG to complete Cabot traffic operation improvements and for other purposes.
And this is for our $1 million traffic light upgrade that we're doing. Just allows Tammy and I to enter into agreement with them.
Make a motion to adopt resolution 10 of 2021.
Second.
I got a motion by Ed, a second from Matt, to adopt resolution number 10 of 2021. Any discussion?
I'll second.
Yes, sir. Any other discussion? All in favor, roll call vote, please, Tammy.
Cope,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Waymack,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Red,
Yes.
Hillenberg.
Yes.
Passes 8-0. Next item is community input. Now, when we adjourn the meeting, we'll take a 5-minute break, and we'll start our town hall meeting. So if it's about the bond issue, we will do that in our next meeting. But if it's for anything else, of course, come on up to the podium, and it's community input time.
Hi, my name is.
Can you, hey, would you mind speaking in the mic?
Yes.
You're doing great.
Okay. Hi, my name is Ansley, and I'm a part of Troop 6787. My mom, Kayla, she is my troop leader. I am a Girl Scout, and I'm currently selling Girl Scout cookies. We have 3 weekends for Girl Scout booths, and all the money from our cookies goes towards events like Camp and World Thinking Day for us, as well as badges and patches that we earn. If you would like to find a local cookie booth, you can go to girlscoutdiamond.org and put in your zip code and find a local cookie booth.
Thank you. Would you be so nice as to give the gentleman behind you that information? That's the paper. He'd love to print that in the paper for you.
Really?
Sorry, Jeffrey. Yep. Yes, give that to him if you would. Thank you so much.
I do have one brief thing for everybody to consider. As you know, we were here in January, talked about council assignments and board assignments and things of that nature. There was one more of those to do. The city does have what's called a depository board. We don't talk about it very much, but it is a thing that's required by statute. It essentially oversees and helps co-sign on the city deposits. By statute, it has 3 members. One must be the mayor, one must be the clerk treasurer, and one is a council member chosen by the council. As some of you probably know, in the past, that person is usually the chairman of the budget committee. For obvious reasons, there's some overlap there. That's how it's been in the past. It does not have to be that way, but that's traditionally how it's done. In furtherance of moving it along, I did reach out to Matt earlier, who is that chairman. He is willing to serve if you so desire. Obviously, that is up to your discretion. Check the statute. We don't need formal resolution or anything like that. If you would just like to do a voice vote, naming one of yourselves to that depository board. Thank you.
Make a motion, we appoint Matt to the, what is it, depository board? Isn't that what it's called? Depository board, City of Cabot.
Not the suppository.
I didn't say preparation H, even though you may need some, but.
And if anybody else wants to serve, then just let me know.
Delete that part. Okay, we got a motion by Ed, a second by whom? I missed it. Okay, James Reed to appoint Matt Weber to the depository board. Any discussion? All in favor, roll call vote, please, Tammy.
Yes, ma'am, with great joy.
Jones,
Yes.
Red,
Yes.
Ellenberg,
Yes.
Hope,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Weber,
Abstain.
Waymack,
Yes.
Passes 7-0-1. Okay, any other items before we move into the town hall? Seeing none, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn.
Got a motion from Michael, a second from
Second.
Stephen. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Adjourned at 7:33. How about we come back at 7:37? 4 minutes. Okay. hand these out for me, please? Yes, sir. Okay, thanks for everybody's attention. Roger's going to pass out kind of the bond wish list, and there's some information behind it that talks about all the different roads and areas that we've looked at, and I'll go into that more in detail. Here's our slideshow about to begin up here if you look. And what I did is I'm just going to go through everything. And remember, this is just the wish list. And I know the amount of 89 million came up a while ago. It's really only 69 million. I put 20 million for Parks and Rec, but broke it out. So I guess someone's adding that up twice. But then again, we can only borrow 56 million. So this is just what I've heard as I campaigned for 6 months as mayor, what I've heard as being your mayor, what the council's heard, and we've kind of come up with some items. These aren't set in stone. We want to hear from each of you tonight whether you support it or you don't support it, or what other items you may want in your city. So I will begin. All right, here's just all the list, kind of what you're getting passed out right now. There's 9 items, with 10 being other, which will come from each of you tonight, if there's anything you'd like to add. Okay, number 1 item I've heard in 2.5 years, our internet's horrible. There's Facebook posts, explicit concerned citizens, Cabot concerned citizens, Joe Bob, whatever your name may be, someone's made a post about how bad the internet is. So I've spoken with attorneys. We've been working on this for over a year. Legislation had to be approved at the state level. Representative Evans and Senator Hill with some other co-sponsors worked really hard. It went with no votes against it in the legislature in February, and has been signed into law by the governor, allowing cities like Cabot to issue a bond issue to buy their own fiber. And what we would do here is, we're estimating right now 20 million. We don't know what the final amount is. We're working on that right now in a feasibility study that should be done in a couple of weeks, or an amount, not the feasibility study done, but an amount pretty close to what we need. And we will own the fiber, and what we will do is we will find an internet service provider to contract with, and they will be our partner. They will be the ISP. We will be an owner. So what we want to do is deliver fiber all across the city of Cabot, so everyone has great internet speeds at a good price. So we've talked, and I don't know what the monthly price will be for internet, but I believe it's going to be under $100, and it will be gigabyte speeds, upload and download. And I know that's 10 times, 20 times better than what most of you are getting right now. And it would help the schools, help businesses, help economic development, help the healthcare, you name it. If we repair this part of our infrastructure, things will be going, I believe, in the right direction. I believe internet is the new electricity. Everyone wants good electricity. They don't want to go home and their lights go off, just like the internet. They want to go home and it work well. Next item is road repairs and overlays. That was the second biggest item. Traffic problems, road overlays, roads in disrepair. The roads have not been probably taken care of, or we didn't have the money in the past to take care of roads the way they needed to be. We've done a lot of overlay work in my last 2 years as mayor, but it's not enough. We've contracted with RMT Technologies, and they gave us a list, and that's a list I passed out to you, of the top areas that need road repair, overlays, or drainage work. I hope some of y'all's roads are on there. I don't know. We use the data, and we can share more of that with you if you give me your email address to kind of show you what we looked at. But we were just taking what is the most road that needs the most work to come up with our $16 million number. Next item is police equipment upgrades. Of those, our new radios, our police have been using the same radios for 15 years. They don't work with some of the current systems, the current technology, computer equipment. We want every police car to be mobile, where they can operate out of their own police car without having to come back to Central Station. As you know, Cabot is 20 square miles, and it's if we're out of an area, it's not good because that makes time that we've got to get back to that area. It's also in the budget this year. We'll complete our concrete substation out Highway 5 area, so we will have a presence there, but we want each police car to be able to be mobile wherever they're at in the city. And I'll have Captain Steely talk about that more when we get to that item if anyone has any questions. I'm just doing a rough overview. Fire and police and fire. Fire, well, like one of these new fancy rescue puppers, as you see here on your screen, and then a fire and police training system. This is very needed. Without training, people won't perform as well. Somebody might lose their life. This is something that our fire and police department can use and to help train other people in our community and areas around us. Tornado siren upgrades. That's one of the first things I did when I became mayor. Is we went around and, with the help of various individuals, fixed our old system. It's 1960s. We just need it to be upgraded. I think the amount on that's $250,000. I think that's well worth it. We'll get 6 brand new systems that should cover the whole area of Cabot, and you will be able to see or hear the sirens at any time there's troubled weather. Community Animal Support Services Center. I won't botch this up. I'm going to let Mike Wheeler talk about this one when we have questions. It's going to be a facility with a lot of different options, according to an education center, a surgery center, an animal center, but he'll do a great job explaining it, and there's pictures of it over here to the right as well. I swear that's not me. Community pavilion with bathrooms. This is just something we were thinking of for concerts, for the farmers market, for Parks and Rec, for weddings, for anything outside venues that we need. Cabot really doesn't have one. This would have bathrooms. It'd be very large, and it would be something that we could gather at. We could use it as a fixture for Cabot Fest or Strawberry Fest, our different things we have going in town that people like to come to. It's just something that every great city needs to have to be able to have events. Parks and Rec. This first slide here is for a basketball court, 6 regulation basketball courts that will turn into 12 volleyball courts, and then an indoor soccer facility, which we could attract people year-round to Cabot to come to Cabot and to play tournaments, and we could keep our kids inside, and we could continue with Parks and Rec even in bad weather. It's something that I think would be a very big economic benefit to the city and be a great deal for the kids. We do have a joint use agreement with the schools. Everyone is pretty taxed. When I say taxed, I mean that the school needs it more for their practices. We need it more for our practices. We need it more for our games. They need it more for their games. We work real well together, but we sure would like to have our own facility so the school can do more that they want to do, and we could do more that we want to do. So it's something that I think the citizens very much need. The next 2 slides here, you've got on the top, you have your basketball center. In the next ditch, your wave pool. The lower left is your inclusive park, which I think is very, very much needed. As you know, Cabot Schools is one of the #1 programs in the state for special needs, and I think we need to partner with the school and have something in the community for individuals to use of this nature. I'm really impressed with it, and I think it would go over well in our community. The slide to the right is turf baseball fields where we wouldn't have to cancel any games. The kids could continue to play. Everyone hates rainouts and have to make up times and everything else like that parents have to do. This would stop that. We could still play. As soon as there wasn't any lightning, we'd be ready to play. And we could continue to hold tournaments in Cabot and make more money by people coming to our town and filling up their cars and eating in our restaurants and staying in our hotels. So that's kind of the gist of the ideas we've came up with so far. I would like to open the floor for questions, for support, or dissupport, or new ideas. But this is kind of, where we're at. We think this is all good for the community. As you know, we're the 19th largest city in the state of Arkansas out of 500 cities. After the census, we may be number 15. So we are a large city. We're not a small town anymore. And like Mr. Splain got up and said that if Cabot's going to be big, let's be big. Let's do it right. So there's a lot of things in here that needs to be done with our infrastructure. As you know, at the end of this month, next month, March 29th will be 45 years since the tornado destroyed Cabot. We've come a long way in 45 years. This will get us to that next step. This will get us to where maybe our kids will want to stay here or come back. Our grandkids will want to stay here or come back. Hey, maybe we stay here and not leave. It's going to provide opportunities for all of us and make our city nicer to live in and to work from and to work with. It's going to create a lot of economic development. I know healthcare providers are looking at this internet for telehealth. I know companies, call centers are looking at fiber. Arkansas is ranked number 48th in the states. That's horrible. I think if Cabot gets this, we may be number 1 in the state, which would be awesome. And it'll be the central focus where people want to come. If they want to come to Central Arkansas, I guarantee you they're coming to Cabot. So with that brings the restaurants people are wanting. That brings that restaurant that we all talk about that we want so bad. It just creates mountains and mountains of things for our city. So with that, I'll open it first to the council, and then we'll go to the public. Council? Anyone? Or do you want me to open up the public?
Well, I will speak for the police and fire. We've got 130 combined first responders in our city, and they're having to do some makeshift type of scenarios to train in so that they're prepared for real world. We've got property existing. To have this available for our first responders, I think, is a very important part of the health, safety, and welfare of our citizens, because a safe environment from fire and from crime makes a safe neighborhood. Thank you, Mayor.
I've got one thing here on Facebook that wants to add outdoor basketball courts for the kids. I know when I was a kid here in Cabot 40 years ago or whatever it was, we used to go to the schools and play on their basketball courts, but I don't think you can do that anymore. So that's what we used to do after we got out of high school. We'd go play some pickup games, but I know we need more of those too. I think that's a great idea.
Before we got this list of the work projects for the roads and streets,
Yes,
I
sir.
had contacted the mayor about Kerr Station Road. I did not know that it was going to be on this list, but I did ask him about the possibility of improvements from widening the shoulder, adding sidewalks, various issues with Kerr Station, and he was gracious enough to humor me in getting some numbers put together, and I had no idea that it would come back at such an astronomical number. But in order to do what I had hoped for Kerr Station, came in with a ballpark of about $29 million. So that would take a large chunk out of that $56 million, but I think that we need to concentrate on Kerr Station in some way rather than just keep kicking this down the road, pardon the pun. But we need to give Kerr Station Road more attention because, I mean, when that road was put in, it was before I moved here, but I don't think anybody had any idea that that road would be used as much as it is, and especially with having 3 schools on that road that are being accessed, it's only going to increase in use. So I'm glad that this is included on the list, but I think further improvements to Kerr Station should be considered in the future.
Basically, for everyone, Kerr Station, we're at a right-of-way. So just to buy the right-of-way is around $13 million from private property owners. Then you have to move the fiber, you have to move the utilities, you have to fix the drainage, you have to put a sidewalk in, and it comes out just to buy the properties, people's lands, about $13 million. And then the rest of it, the other $16 million, is to do the work, move the utilities, drainage work. The road is the part that's cheap. It's everything else that goes with it that has to be done. So it was put there, like Matt said, we didn't realize we were going to use it as much as we do, but it's a main artery, and it's like it's in the wrong place. We just didn't allow ourselves, our forefathers didn't give us another right-of-way. Unless everyone wants to give us their land, which I don't think that's going to happen. And some of it, I think we actually have to buy houses too. So it's kind of, we're in a pickle in Kerr Station. We had engineers do all that work for us, and they gave us a figure of $28,900,250.48.
Mayor, I do also want to agree with Matt here that it's great to see that on this wish list that we have, which, to clarify for people, this wish list is, you can view this as a starting point for this conversation. I just want to clarify that, as there are some people that seem to be confused to think that this list here is the definitive list. It's not. This is very malleable. That's why we're starting this conversation here tonight. But I do want to agree with Matt and say that I'm glad to see that we are using a sizable amount of the money that we could have in this bond for infrastructure. However, I think with what is proposed here, we could do more than what I think we have in front of us is an opportunity to make a large investment in a problem that has plagued our community for a long time and that we all are tired of having to talk about. So I think what the amount here, it needs to be more. It needs to be more targeted as well. We need to, instead of just overlays and drainage, we need to maybe think about expanding this project to include sidewalks, which we've all had a lovely conversation about this evening. And so we all are familiar with that issue as well, to include sidewalks and any type of infrastructure work that's done in this bond issue.
Yeah, we do have sidewalks in that 16 million sum, and then not in that 16 million is this CBDG grant we talked about that's going to give some sidewalks and widening of Locust. Hopefully the grant that I'll get from Metro Plan to do the running trail from Cabot to Ward, that'll be in there. I think Ms. Brown talked about earlier, and then working with Metro Plan again to connect to Jacksonville. So that's in our focus, but you're right, if we can do more, but we don't have really we'd have to cut some things. And council would have to decide what they wanted to vote on. I was just trying to come up with something that kind of hits everybody with what we can borrow right now. And just let everybody know, this is not a new tax. This is a rededication of your sales tax, the sales tax you pay when you go to the grocery store. This is not making that sales tax permanent. It's still a temporary tax. We're just like refinancing our house. You're refinancing the city to get these projects because we have a lot of equity. Is basically how it comes. It's a rededication of a tax, your sales tax that you pay. 1% goes to the debt, and the other 1% goes to the city to fund operations. Is how it works. So they're projecting this bond issue right here at $56 million, plus paying off our other bonds at $28 million that we'll pay it off in 14 years. That's without growth of the city. So if the city grows, we could really pay the bond off in 10 years or 11 years. For all this money. So it's pretty exciting. We have a growing community, and it's no new tax to everyone, and we're hopefully giving each citizen really something that's going to make their living better and their community better.
Mayor, I had a
Yes.
public comment, and it's probably towards Travis because it's a Parks and Rec thing, but people were asking about softball, and I know that we did build 4 new fields in our last bond, but just that's an idea that they want to see as some.
Did they say what softball? They said what?
They just said that they wanted to see some love for softball, just like that we put in for baseball.
Love for
I know the
softball.
fields are brand new over there, but
I
just.
think we're about to do the pavilions for softball too, aren't we? Is that true? This spring?
Yeah, we will,
We've already got them ordered?
yeah, they're actually in the process of, that we didn't get the snow this past week, the new awnings and shade structures would have been.
And that's something softball's needed for years, and we hadn't been able to do it, but that's exciting. So that field and that area is going to be shaded.
Yeah.
It's been rough out there for them.
Yeah, Miss Easter just wanted to.
Miss Easter, okay.
Yeah. And how many years ago did we do our last bond, Mayor?
2013.
Yeah, and so for people who don't, maybe not know, like this building that we're sitting in right now was through that bond, and this is a great improvement to our city that we were able to get through on the last one.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know where we'd be meeting if we didn't have this, with this COVID. I guess we'd be out in the parking lot somehow, in a tent. Stephen, do you have something?
Is there any kind of ROI model that's connected to the internet once we pay off the 20 million and connect with a company, you know,
Well,
that it would actually be a profitable?
These are rough
venture?
numbers, and, I mean, I'll share my rough numbers, but if 60% of our service area joins to this internet that we will own, it would give a cash flow to the city of $2 million.
Per year?
Per year. So that would be a return of 10 to 1. So it'd be a nice return. I know people like 5% or 5-year returns, but that's just 60%. We probably get more than that with the ability of our system to do what it's going to do, but it'd be $2.5 million. So it's a good deal. And that would be a taxable bond because we're leasing our lines, so it has to be a taxable, not tax exempt bond. So we're going to have to pay a little bit more interest. You know, maybe 0.5% more, but it's worth it. We're looking at rates around 2%.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I agree with Mike and Matt that I think the roads are falling a little short myself, but I would like to hear from Mike Wheeler. I would like to kind of know what a $7 million pet project looks like.
I agree with Brandon, especially since we just we just agreed to purchase that new property
Sure.
for the animal shelter.
ma'am.
And we do have a current animal shelter, and we're currently not accepting animals right now. But just, Mike, if you'll explain, I know that a lot of questions on Facebook have been about the animal shelter, and so you'll be the best one to explain what it's going to be and what it's going to hold.
Please, Mike, make sure you talk to the mic so Facebook world can hear you, because they're watching.
Thank y'all. Thanks, everybody here. To start out, we are accepting animals, so I don't want that to be out there. We're not. We've been accepting animals since day one of COVID. We've not stopped accepting them.
Okay, I just saw the Facebook post on Saturday, and it was like from the animal shelter that they couldn't go pick up an animal and.
Strays on the weekend, because we only have 2 officers in the city, and they work 24 hours a day on call every other week. We don't pick up strays after hours. We do ask people to hold them. It's typically not an issue. We do go out on emergency calls, dog bites, aggressions, public safety issues after hours. But on after hours and weekends right now, we just only have 2 officers. So, but we do still pick up. This facility is, first of all, let's clarify, it's not an animal shelter. And let's go back to our animal shelter that was built in 2006. We had no animal shelter before that. We had a shed with 10 or 11 outdoor kennels. So that was a great upgrade from then, but it was built to bring in roughly 600 to 700 animals a year. Cabot brings in almost 3,400 animals a year. We bring in just a little less than Little Rock. We're number 2 in the state in the number of animals we bring in a year. We're number 1 in the state on the number of animals we save. So 3,400 animals coming through a 600 animal shelter just doesn't work. It just mathematically, it doesn't work. Too much wear and tear on the shelter. It was built, if more than 600, even during the 600 animal time, it was a kill shelter. 50% of all animals come in, 5 days later they were dead. So as we house animals longer, we find more homes, less than 0.5% euthanasia rate last year. The shelter is just not built for that. It is what was classified as a shelter back in the days. It was classified that simply because it was meant to house animals. That's it. Pick up strays and house them until their death. Okay? So this facility is, the animal shelter is a small part of that facility. It is. We will go from 20 kennels to 80 kennels for dogs. We brought in 3,400 animals in 20 kennels. Nobody else has that in the state. So it'll go from there to 80 dogs. Our cat area, adoption area, will be able to house from where we're at 20 animals right now, roughly. We've packed as many as 100 in there, but 20 animals for cats. It should house anywhere from 50 to 70 if needed. We'll have small animals as well. Bunnies, rabbits, for some reason they get loose all over the city. We'll be able to do that. That is on the animal adoption side. The old shelter will remain animal control. Right now, animal control does not have a facility where we can put aggressive animals. Aggressive animals are right there in public view. Public can stick their hand in and touch every aggressive animal we have come through there. We don't have any place to put court animals. So once again, they're right there with everybody else's. If they're sick, if they're injured, if they have a disease that you and I can get, which there are a list of them. I carry about a pocket, piece of paper in my pocket, holds about 82 diseases that are transmittable between, they have to be in the public. We don't have a space for it. It wasn't built that way. So this is on the sheltering side. It's a very small section of that. We also have the programming office. That is the main focal point in the middle of the building you'll see over here. And we have 25 programs, anything from helping citizens with deposits to helping citizens so they don't have to surrender their animals. We'll help with medical, things of that nature. We've removed limbs. We do all of this. We work at domestic violence shelters to hold their animals for them. These are all things that are for a humane community and a progressive community needs. Then we also have, on the other side of that, we also have our surgery center and veterinary wellness center. We're not taking business away from other vets. Let's get that straight out, okay? I know people are saying, that was one of the comments out there. Cabot itself is in what we call a resource desert as far as resources go. Cabot, 2 years ago, had 3 veterinarians in the city limits of Cabot. We have 1 veterinarian office in the city limits of Cabot now. In the last 2 years, we've gone from 3 to 1. Low-cost veterinarian services are hard to come by in our area. You can go to Little Rock and get a cat spayed for $50. You can get a cat spayed in Cabot for $250. It's not being done. It's evident by our vaccination clinics that we hold twice a year, that we have all of the streets packed with cars, that it's needed. So we have that option. Along with that, we are working on partnerships for that to be an education center. There is a veterinarian and vet tech shortage across the entire country. How great would it be for us to be able to have interns come in and train in our new facility? We have a vet tech school just down the street. They never see a vet's office. We have children at our high school who we have a medical track and we have all these other tracks, but we don't have a veterinarian track. We have an agricultural track. But how great would it be to maybe eventually get into a veterinarian track so that we have more people who want to be veterinarians and we could train them in this new facility. They'll come across cases in this facility that they don't see anywhere else. And when you go to veterinarian school, You spend your entire time there and you do one half of one surgery. When you graduate, you have either opened up or closed a spayed animal. That's it. Well, we do 25 spays on a Tuesday morning before noon. Public spays, by the way, that we're currently doing because we offer low-cost spay and neuter clinics. So we have that education component there that nobody else would have in the state, with observation room for people to watch the training side of things. We have also an education and behavior building. How many animals do you think come to us because they have behavior issues? We don't have those resources available now. But if we can work with them on the behavior side of things, maybe they can keep their animals. Maybe walking down the street would be much safer for citizens of Cabot if animals are more behaved because their owners are taking the time to come in and be trained. So we have those. And that's everything we do is for the community benefit. So that's the buildings. It's and $7 million, we all saw the price. It's $200 a square foot. And we can get it done for that. You can't get it done in other states for that. Average animal shelter, not resource center, which we're opening, ranges anywhere from $300 to $400 a square foot across the country. It's not a house. It's not a big vacant building. You have ventilation issues you have to deal with. You figure going in every day and spraying the entire place down with water. Places have to be able to hold that and take care of that. So it is a big cost. But we, as a shelter, can recoup a lot of cost through this center, through our low-cost services as well. So I'm not sure if there's anything else. If anybody has any questions for me, I'd be more than happy to answer.
So, Mike, if this new facility were to be built, what would happen with the existing properties for animal services?
The existing, we have two properties at the moment because y'all did just purchase one, but that was a dual purpose facility, and we'll go over that. The current facility will be used for animal control. That way animal control has a place to put stray dogs when they come in. That way they're away from public. For dangerous dogs, really sick animals can be quarantined, things of that nature. And the animal control would have offices. Right now, my animal control doesn't have an office. I've got two officers. They have to stand up with a laptop to write any reports. We have, the shelter out there was built with one office, and that's it. The entire shelter, one office. So they would have their own place, and it'd be outside the public purview to where they can maintain safety for the public. The other building we just bought, okay, our lease ended February 1st. The building come available. We got it for a great price, $235,000. We are currently hosting our programs out of that office. We have 25 new programs, but we do it on a very limited basis because we don't have the space for it. But it is the only space we have. The shelter had no space for it. So we have space now to do some of the programs, our food pantries, things of that nature. The back half of that property, and where the most exciting part of that property was the barn, the venue, which we plan on utilizing to bring money into the city through weddings, events, and things of that nature. So it is actually an economic generator. So even without the front building, the back building itself was worth the purchase of $235,000 for a property in the city of Cabot. That building, we have a couple ways to go with it once we move out. Whatever we do with it will be utilized to bring funds into the animal shelter and reduce the tax burden on the citizens. Right now, we roughly 20% of our budget is self-generated. Not many animal shelters can say that. So we're hoping that we can generate more funds when we move out of that building to more than cover any cost we ever paid for it. And just so you know, on animal shelters, Bentonville is looking at building a shelter. Ours is 32,000 square feet, our full facility. Bentonville's looking at spending between 10 and 12 million on a less than 7,000 square foot shelter only. No amenities whatsoever. Just sheltering. Little Rock, their facility, just so you know, 2007 was when it was built. It was cost them $2.2 million. In 2007, we know the value of money, and they offer no programs for citizens. You can't go there and get low-cost spay and neuters or anything. So, and they still euthanize over 25% there. So there's that. Sorry, I can talk all night, Mayor. I'll try not to.
I know you can, Mike. I know you're passionate about this. Mike's well-renowned in the nation. Cabot selected out of 10 cities in the nation for a new program of how you conduct your animal shelter and your animal services, and Cabot was selected with the likes of New York, Dallas, Arizona. I can't remember the rest of them. That would have to be Mike.
Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., New York City. Yeah.
So we're a point that people are looking at, and we know the value of an animal's life and the value of community service to our citizens. So this is part of the vision, and that's why it's on the list to consider.
Thank you, Mike.
Could I ask Mike a question?
Oh, sure. Yes, sir.
Sorry. So you don't have to tell me where, but does this project that you're proposing, is it going to be built, if it's approved, is it going to be built on existing city property, or does this price tag include the cost of buying new property?
There are properties available the city owns that we could put this property on, and that's the route we're looking at the moment, because obviously for the cost. When you look at the $7 million price tag, you also have to look in there that there is stuff. It's not just the building. You also have the asphalt for the large parking areas. You have the x-ray machine. You have all the anesthesia machines. You have all this stuff that a veterinarian and hospital would have. That's not really construction cost, but there is stuff that has to be built in.
Council, any more questions about the animal shelter or citizens out in the public? Okay, we have one in the back.
Did you clean this?
Mike, did you clean that, sir?
You did
Okay.
clean it. Okay, thank you very much. My name is Rhonda McCall, and I live at 18 Oakbrook Drive. And I have a few questions for our council members on this bond. I was taking notes while the mayor was going over each of these. First off, this is a $66 million bundle, correct?
66 million, but it's not what we're asking for. We're asking for 56.
Okay. And there's already a 29 million owed, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Is it a 95%, 100%, 105% bond?
100%. So it'll be a $80 million bond.
Okay. For how many years?
Payoffs at 14 years.
Okay.
As if that's assuming our revenue doesn't grow.
Okay. How much is left from the annual revenues? Do you have any idea?
What do you mean?
Well, how much is the annual payment on it?
Be about $500,000.
A $500,000 payment, okay, okay. That answers that then. So do you expect any other, does the city expect any other expenses over the bond period? That's one of my main concerns.
Expenses for which part, Rhonda?
Any kind of an expense, you know? I mean, what my concern is it being such a large bond.
1% of the sales tax dedicated to the bond. We can't touch that. It goes, and so as tax revenue and people come here because the internet's great and all that, the bond could get paid off in 10 years versus 14 years. We can't touch that. and then the other 1% goes into the coffers of the city to be used in the general fund for whatever the budget that the council approves for the city to spend.
Okay.
So I think I know where you're going. I'm just trying to answer your question. I don't know exactly.
I think actually you've covered here what I'm wondering about. I'm really impressed with the breakdown. I wasn't expecting this breakdown, and I had written down how I wanted a breakdown of what all this money, because this is a lot of money, and we're already in a bond debt. I will say I am mostly really pleased to see the police and the fire being taken care of. I know not just myself, but other citizens. That's our security blanket because they take care of us. So I am glad to see that they're getting what they need. The internet infrastructure. I know some of the older ones may not be too crazy about that, but I will tell you that's just one of those things that we need. Cabot needs desperately. The only thing that I am 100% against is this animal shelter. No disrespect to Mike Wheeler, okay? His love is for animals, okay? I'm speaking as someone that has come out of working in the healthcare field, okay? I'm gonna take two of our most seasoned council members, Ed and James. I want you to stop and think. We've spent $7 million on an animal shelter. I do not see one single thing in this paperwork about our seniors. Now, who's to say that in 5 years or less, one of you do not have a stroke, you're homebound, you can't get out, you have no one to care for you, and you need a senior program help with meals, with care, but I can't give it to you because I've got to build a $7 million animal shelter. How come we can't build onto the animal shelter that we have? That's taken away from our people. You're getting into logistics here of ethics. Where's your ethics here? I'm sorry, this is the only thing that I am totally dead set against on this bond issue. I love the fact that we're supporting kids. The kids are our future. I love how we're doing the things, the new community things, recreation projects, because you know as well as I do, we've been kids ourselves. If you don't entertain them, they're going to find ways to entertain themselves. And I think it's awesome that we're doing this. But this animal shelter is ridiculous. As I said, I totally respect what Mike Wheeler is trying to do with our animals. I do. But I got a phone call today from a friend, and it really made me think. And she said, you know, we're going to build a $7 million animal shelter, and none of these other cities around us have it. So when they have strays, what are they going to do? Cabot's going to be overrun with strays, okay? We're already getting that. I just heard it from someone, you know? I have no objection to taking care of our animals. Please do not misunderstand me. But I'm asking you, down the road, this bond money, where are you giving the security for yourself? Ron Wymack. You know, you're another one. I'm sorry. You know I love you to death, and I consider you a good friend. But who's to say you won't be flat on your back tomorrow? But you're going to sign for a bond, a $7 million bond for an animal shelter? This is wrong. I think it's a beautiful building, but I think we need to get our priorities in order. I'm going to tell you, my number one, his heart lies with the animals. Mine is with seniors, and it always has. I approached the mayor almost 2 years ago, and I said, if nobody has it, I want the seniors. I want them. And he said, Mike Wheeler takes care of the seniors. And I said, okay. But you know what? I've never heard it mentioned one time, and I've only missed 3 meetings. And I've not heard it mentioned one time about what we've been doing for any of our seniors during this COVID issue. So I spent almost the entire day today on the computer and on the phone to find out if anything's been done with our seniors, for the seniors that I knew that used to go to the senior center. No. They're receiving meals twice a week. I think they said Mondays and Thursdays that they're getting from the county. The Cabot's not doing anything. That's wrong. But we're going to sit in here and spend hours upon hours and discuss on building this building that looks better than our hospital that was just built down the road. We got to look at our future. Let me tell you, I love my animals more than anybody. You touch my animals and I will go redneck on you. But I don't see any sense in building a $7 million building. Why can't we add on to what we have? You know, one of the promises that you made in your campaign was that you would add on to the senior center. Why can't we do that with the animal shelter? I think it's marvelous what he's doing. I do. I'm all for saving the pets. But the people mean more. You know, our roads, I was glad to see the roads broke down. Now, many of you know, and many of my friends, I had come to this meeting tonight to listen. Many of you know my husband is a retired North Little Rock fireman. So one of my big concerns when I hear the sirens in our town, one of the first things that hits my mind is, are those big old red trucks going to make it on our roads? Because some of those holes are so bad that you can go ankle deep in them. Kerr Station is a bad one. Locust is a bad one. We need to put more focus here. We do. And I'm begging you guys. I'm begging y'all. When this first came up, I never said anything because I really thought it would just get tabled and pushed under. But since this has become a big topic, I'm asking you, reconsider here where you're putting your money. Because that's not just your money, that's my money too. We're going to be paying for it.
This is going to go to the vote before the taxpayers.
I do appreciate it. I really do.
All the council does is allow it to be put on a ballot, and then y'all vote on it, not us. I mean, whoever sits, we're all citizens here at Cabot, so we would get the vote, or one vote, but
So do we vote on them individually?
individually. Yes, ma'am.
So it's not going to be just one big...
No, we can't do this. It's got to be y'all. We're just trying to get projects. This is a wish list meeting for those against it, those for it, and I appreciate your thoughts, but this is citizen-driven, and this is citizen vote.
I'm all for the structure here. I am. And especially when it comes to our kids. We've got to take care of our kids, but we got to take care of our seniors too. And I'm asking you, I'm begging you to think about that. I'm begging you to. And I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Hi, Council.
Go ahead.
So I kind of want to talk from a different perspective. So throughout the campaign that I ran this past November, the main concern I had was with the youth. What is the youth getting out of this? Where do we want to see the youth going? And Mr. Wheeler made a good point that the animal shelter is not just an animal shelter. It's something to provide the youth of Cabot with something to work with in the future. There's not a lot of us that want to come back to the city. I'm going to be honest. We graduate, we see no value in returning here. That's just the way it is. So with that, I kind of made some notes throughout the evening. One of the main things I wanted to talk about is how many of the council members have volunteered at the animal shelter in the past 4 years? Okay. Audience members? Okay. So the animal shelter is really vital in bringing our community together. It's something we can all center around. You made a great point. Everyone loves their animals. It's something we can all bond over. And the animal shelter has really given me a place as the National Honor Society president working with Ms. Glover. It's a place that we could provide kids with finding their morals ground. It's a place that we're able to establish their principles that they're going to use throughout their life. And a new building like this, yes, it's got a big price tag on it, but it allows so much more than just housing animals. You're teaching kids the values that they're going to be using for the rest of their life. He made mention of establishing a veterinarian pipeline. Cabot is being set apart in the nation for what Mr. Wheeler has been doing, and I think it's important that we start recognizing that hard work. If Cabot is going to stand out among the entire state and even in the nation, I think it's really important that we continue to fund the things that we are seeing success in. We are seeing success in the animal shelters, so I think it's important that we start giving them the light that they deserve. Besides that, other things I kind of wanted to mention on the list that I find as a youth really important. I really think the internet is a great idea, guys. Our generation's growing up in a day and age of technology, and without it, we are in trouble. So we need to make sure that we're putting that at the highest priority. Other things, the item 8 with the community pavilion, I can personally speak on. I've had to sit out in the same pavilion for the last 4 years with a group of friends, and it's fine. There's no problem with it, but it's nice to have other locations, and I think what you guys proposed really gives us more opportunities to work with that communal space. So I would like to recognize that as being important. And then, of course, Parks and Recs, and I really want to make mention of the all-inclusive playground. I think that that's a great idea, and it's something that Cabot really needs. So from a youth perspective, the thing I ran on, the thing that got a lot of attention in the city, items 1, 7, 8, and 9 really need to be at the top of your priority. Thank you.
A couple more people have said, how about a new police station? And then they said sidewalks over the 67 bridge, and we are doing that with RDOT. We've contracted with them when the new overpass is going to get built here. Start construction here midsummer, hopefully. We are going to have a sidewalk over that bridge with a protective wall, and it will be lighted. The big, huge lights. So it'll be a nice lit up intersection at exit 16 and exit 19. I'm not sure about 16 yet for a walking path, but I know 19 has it for sure because it's going to connect to streetscape downtown, so you could walk, like Sarah mentioned earlier, from the shelter where she's at all the way to Walmart, protected. So that's exciting stuff coming up. So we do have that already in the works.
You open for comment? Yeah, come on.
I'm reading Facebook at the same time, trying to hit some of the stuff they've been talking about.
Hello, everybody. I'm back. So, John Spillane, 1592 Calcutta Drive. Just a couple quick questions. Is Cabot, Arkansas going to own the internet?
They're going to own the fiber.
We're going to own the fiber,
we're gonna
and then we're going to
lease out our lines to an internet service provider.
And then we're going to rent those out? Okay, so that's going to be a money-making thing. We're just dealing with infrastructure.
Yes.
I personally believe that the city and the government needs to do infrastructure and security. This is infrastructure. All right. Thank you very much for that. So, I'm not going to address that.
Can you go around Greystone for me?
Well, I'm just saying, right? Well, when I saw the list, and I'm going to be totally honest with you, when I saw the list, I was thinking, hey, those are everything that Cabot needs. Cabot needs all that stuff. But then I started thinking about the purposes of government. And the purposes of government are security and infrastructure. So I don't know where $7 million shelter comes in. I don't. I'm sorry, Mike. I appreciate you, bud. But I know that if we get a bond on that, we're liable for that bond in a I don't know where the economic stability of the country is going to go. But I know that we have 30,000 people at the high-end estimate in Cabot, Arkansas, of which only 20,000 of them are adults. And that's going to put us on the hook for somewhere in the neighborhood of $30 million if we get everything straight? And is that what the bond, is that what the bottom line bond is?
No, it'll be 80 million.
80 million. So
Yeah,
we have 20,000 people paying for $80 million worth of stuff. And that is our taxes, right? So you go get the bond, and then we are responsible for paying that bond
No,
back.
it's a sales tax. Everybody from out of state's responsible. Anybody that passes through here that pays sales tax pays that bond.
Everybody, but we only have sales tax inside the city of Cabot, right?
Right, it's just the people that visit our city.
Right, so
including
the
yourself.
people inside of the city that spend money, and that's why I differentiate between the internet being owned by the city being infrastructure and what I'm about to say, which is, I'm sorry, Travis, starting multiple complexes that are a business. The pool, the wave pool, the baseball diamonds, those are businesses, which means that they're going to have employees, which means we're going to have insurance on those employees, which means we're going to have retirement programs for the people that are at the upper levels of those. And now we're starting to get into a situation where we're not dealing with infrastructure, we're dealing with a business. And before we put this on the list, and before we put that, I don't want the infrastructure to be bogged down by attitudes and opinions, no offense, Mike, about that, or about whether we need a wave pool, or whether we need to be opening up a business. Because I believe that we really need a bond issue, and I think that we need to be able to pay for that without having the two thoughts on what a city is supposed to be responsible for. Because we really, really need the roads. We really, really need the internet. We don't really, really need a wave pool.
If I could, though?
Yes?
You may not want those things,
Well,
and I don't support all of them.
Can we,
To have something that's going to drive revenue.
sir, can you speak on the mic so the people on Facebook can hear you too? That's okay.
He can stay up here, he's good. My name's Ken Hacksmith, I live on Bluestone.
Sure. How you doing, Ken?
I'm a big
Grab-
advocate for this town. I've been here for about 11 years.
Ken, Mike.
I've been here for like 11 years. And you can't get anything done in this town if you don't have revenue coming in. The softball, the people coming in here, we need an actual area like where Hall & Bottom's at, a family fun center, per se. You need investment into this city so that people want to come here versus leaving town every Friday and spending all their money and all their time in Little Rock and Conway. We need to build this town up, and you can't do that if there's nothing here. So that's my 2 cents.
And I'll talk to you outside. I'll talk to you one-on-one outside.
Absolutely.
Can I grab my mic back?
Help yourself.
All right, thank you. I know that there is going to be controversy between business and the public sector, right? So you have the public sector, which is businesses and people that live here, and then the responsibilities of the city. The bond issue is to generate revenue so that we can have a chunk of money, so that we can do a lot of things for the infrastructure. That's what the income is. Our taxes provide income to the government. That is their income, sir. When we start getting into the philosophical differences between what a government is supposed to do and what a private business is supposed to do, I know that we have revenue coming in through different sources like the restaurant tax and other taxes that are associated that are supposed to support Travis, and I fully support those as a way of doing business because those are also generated through taxes. But if the city is going to get into the business of generating revenue outside of taxes, I just would like to ask you philosophically whether we want to be in business as a business, as a city, instead of providing strictly infrastructure and security. Because I wholeheartedly support structure of security and infrastructure. But I cannot support something that if this is going to get bogged down and whether we have wave pools and whether we have Travis's spectacular record in the animal shelter business, whether the bond is going to get watered down and voted down, because I seriously support a bond and I want that to happen for our people because we really need the internet. We need police radios. We need the fire department truck. We need a lot of things in this city, and I'd prefer for them to be on two separate agendas rather than on a single. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Spillane.
I'm sorry, man. Here. No, here you go. I don't remember.
Marty Davis, 2422 Canterbury Court. Mayor, council, this list, when I saw it, is great. Another perspective, I'm in real estate business. Been selling real estate in Central Arkansas for 16 years. Since the mayor's been in office, I've been sending him numbers. Cabot's doing great. Everything's doing great right now. I've also got a master's degree in marketing. To grow, to be big time, as Mickey said, you're in competition. You got to market your town to get that sales tax. If nobody stops to come here, they don't pay it. Now, we went through a very challenging year, but let's think of the things that went on and happened anyway. Ball games started happening when Little League got going, soccer got going, people went to outdoor events. Those are the things that people want. Everything on that list, home buyers want. The number one complaint I get about people moving to Cabot is internet. Is there any other town around that owns their internet? Does anybody know? In Arkansas. Conway Corp owns their own internet. If you live in Conway and you want to move, you will not move out of Conway Corp. It's like a cult. It really is. They have great service and it's great prices. That's the best thing we can do by far, is to have good internet. Fire, it goes to your fire rating, it goes to your home insurance. People look at all those things moving to a town. Yes, Cabot has great schools, but guess what the rest of the schools have all done? They've all gotten better also. People look at crazy things you would never believe. I hear things that I didn't realize the sidewalk thing was going to be an issue when I walked in. I had a lady yesterday, the third one this year, this is only February, asked me, why don't we have sidewalks on both sides of the street? That's what people look at. They look at things like that. So the internet is fantastic. We need that, need to own it. It's fair, everybody gets it. If you could branch out and then sell it more money, that's even better. Everything else is good, police and fire and all that. But the ballpark and all the things that people think, well, do we need that? It brings money in, and it brings income in sales tax, plus it brings in, right now we all know small businesses are all struggling, restaurants are all struggling. You have a ball tournament, you have people come in and stay. People come visit, they start looking around. I have people that would never thought about moving to Cabot from like Newport, Greer's Ferry, Morrilton, but they came here 2 years ago at a ball tournament. And then when they get closer to Little Rock, so they came here. So you're always selling your town, and the bond issue will help sell it down. And people worry about the money and the income and all that, and I get it, and you're right. Everybody's in that same boat. But you got to sell your town, you got to promote it, you got to make it more desirable, because people have a choice. If you ask me who is competing with Cabot for home buyers, it's Sherwood and Conway. I'm retired Air Force. I have a ton of military buyers that come here, and they will look at, and Maumelle also. They'll look in Cabot, look in Conway, look in Maumelle, look in Sherwood. They don't look anywhere else, that's where they look. You get these things on here, you'll be top pick. So that's it. Now, the issue I didn't plan on speaking on tonight, but I will speak about the shelter. The way animals are treated is astronomically more important today than it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago. And I'm just going to put this in a house perspective. If you had a dog in your house 4 years ago, and I was listing your house to sell, I'd say, hey, get the dog bowl, get the dog, get them gone. Get them gone. We don't want them there. Now, pet-friendly homes is item number 3 people like. So people care about how pets are treated. So I'm not saying, that animal shelter is going to help you people here, but I'm telling you it's not going to hurt. So I just want you to think of another perspective and all these things going, because we all got to vote on it eventually, and your neighbors are going to vote on it. But you need to get your town marketable. We need to get a town to where we know, and somebody wants to come here, it's not just schools, okay? It's everything, because people look at all kinds of things. So, again, thank you for putting the list together, and it's great to have a town hall meeting. People can't believe we're having a town hall meeting. There's 140 watching on Facebook right now. So just think about that, about marketing Cabot, so we can grow and be big time. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty. Oh, somebody just asked on Facebook if other internet providers are going to still be able to participate in town. Of course they are. We're giving people another option. It's about competition. So the providers will get to stay if they want to stay. So we're not pushing anybody out of town, just to let those on Facebook watching.
I think this is on. Is it still on?
Yes.
Good. I'm Phil Robinson, 12 Shenandoah Way, and I looked over that list. As I looked over the list, I thought those really are some needs here in Cabot. Everything on that list I can see a need for here in Cabot. And I thank you, Mayor, and I thank the other folks that helped out in putting that list together for a starting point for us to start looking at. Thank you for taking that time and looking out for us. We're in some times right now that are unpredictable, probably more so than we've been in many years. Looking at the virus that's going around, the virus going around that's giving us all pause right now. Looking at the new federal government that's in office right now and the changes that are coming 2 to 3 times a day, maybe more than that, I don't know. But all of that is all uncertainty for us. So as we look through, all of us look through, and we're getting ready to vote on these items that are in the list, I would ask that we all do that, tread through there carefully, making sure that we've scoped it out right so that we're not going to get ourselves in a position later that this uncertainty turns negative on us. That's going to take a lot of education, a lot of talking, a lot of looking at things that I don't know what to look at. But I ask you all to please take the time to look at those things to get us in a position that we're not going to go broke here in Cabot, or we're not going to end up in a situation that we can't pay for the things that we need on that list. Again, thank you very much, and I appreciate all of you and all that you do.
Just to let everybody know, we've had an 05 bond issue, a 13 bond issue, and a 16 bond issue. All those are paying off quicker than they should. 05, was right before the Great Recession that hit. Cabot continued to do well. Cabot is doing well. Cabot is doing better than it has ever. Tax revenues are higher than they've ever been. And, of course, there's always uncertainty. If we had a crystal ball, we would ask for $120 million right now at grade B bonds if we knew we were going to pay it back quicker instead of $56 million at grade A bonds. So, but, you need to realize that Cabot citizens have always supported Cabot, and our population continues to grow. We're going to have over 30,000 people, hopefully, when the census comes out in April. And we've been in growth mode since 1970. So I don't foresee Cabot digressing. I think the only way we digress if we do not do capital improvements to our city that we're talking about here today. And if we don't do capital improvements, we will digress. And then we have something to worry about. Any other questions? Well, before we go, if you would help the mayor and the council, don't everyone look around so you don't see what else. If you're for a certain item, raise your hand so we can kind of see here with all the people out here. So if you're for the internet infrastructure, please raise your hand. Looks like it's overwhelming. Road repairs, overlays, and drainage work. Looks like everybody's fired up about that. Police equipment for the police. Well, Captain Steele, you look like you might get some equipment. Fire truck. Thank you all. Fire and Police Training Center. Okay. Tornado siren upgrades. I think everybody likes that more than internet. Community Animal Services Support Center. Okay. Community Pavilion with bathrooms. Okay. I'm going to do each Parks and Rec separately, so you can vote on the one you like or all of them. Multi-use facility, which is the basketball and volleyball. Okay. Baseball turf on 6 additional fields. Okay. Wave pool at Aquatic Park. Okay. All-inclusive playground. That's the winner for Parks and Rec for sure. Some other ideas that we can look at and consider, looks like outside basketball courts for the kids. Okay. What exactly for softball? Did you, more fields or? She's on here. Hey Rose, what else did you want? Can you hear me? Somebody also said a new city hall, which that's going to cost a bunch of money, and a new police station. Let's see. No. Okay, more softball fields. Let's just try that. Okay. Just for the council to see, a new police station. Okay. New city hall. I didn't put it on there. I'm reading Facebook. Somebody said yes for softball. Somebody said no for softball. I apologize, Facebook, if I missed any other ideas. But anyone else have any other ideas?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
I would like to applaud Rhonda McCall. She's brought to light something we didn't have on our list.
Okay.
When you took over this position, in your beginnings of your administration, we had a very serious problem at our senior center, and we bit the bullet pretty hard to get it started turned around. The future needs to include something that's going to be looking forward for all of our seniors. And I thought Jason brought up some really good points to us. You know, he made the point, there's no point in coming back here after we graduate. We've got to find something. I asked my stepson when he graduated, I said, why would you not come back here? He said, we don't have enough diversity. We need to be more diverse. We have got a diverse family atmosphere. Now, let's find something that's going to challenge and be a part of a growth for these institutional, educational growth, things that we can bring young minds back into our city. That's what we're seeing in our competitors. Conway's got 3 colleges. They've got an industrial base. You know, smokestacks are not what we're going to be looking for, but we have a lot of white collar, a lot of educated people here, and we want to draw back our youth to raise their families here.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And, you know, I talked about when I started my slideshow off, my kids don't have a reason. I'm losing one to Georgetown here probably next year. One's in Fayetteville who loves it up there, and the third one, I don't know what he's going to do, but we have to start with this infrastructure and road repair to get the city right for those opportunities for people to come in so we can be more diverse. It's going to take tax dollars to continue doing what we're talking about here today. And if we don't jumpstart our infrastructure, we're going to be further behind. And, you know, I think that's what we're doing here, and I think everyone here is on track that we've got to do this stuff to get to where my son wants to come back with their grandchildren and your grandchildren stay here. And, I mean, I get you. I'm with you. We've got to, hopefully the voters say yes. It's not us, it's everyone out here. We got to get their vote.
Well,
So-
I applaud the people that are here tonight bringing up ideas.
Of course.
And giving us things that we can put on there. It's for our voters. It's for the citizens to vote for. It's not for us to come up the decision. So this is a good thing.
Yes, ma'am, of course. Can you come up here on the mic so Facebook can hear you? I'm sorry, it's the world of technology.
Mayor, while she's coming up, before we go, could you remind everybody or just kind of review the timeline that this election is going to follow, and then the fact that we vote on each individual item, it's not a lump sum package?
Okay. Yes. Well, go ahead, Rhonda, and I'll tell everybody at the end. How about that?
I appreciate you letting me up here again. I know I wore your ears out a while ago. Just say, for instance, this is an area that I really think Cabot needs to look at, okay? We're just gonna say James Reed's my dad, okay? I live out of state and I come here so I can take care of him. But I need the opportunity to be offered something for a job. I may not be a teacher, you know? I may not be really good in sales, you know, or something. So that's where Cabot can step up. We have opportunities for more that will be coming in, not just for your younger generation and trying to keep them here, you know? For the ones that come in to take care of, you know, the older ones. Matt and I are the same age, and unfortunately, we are in that age bracket that they say you and I could just kill over any time. I don't agree with it, but they say it, you know? So I'm saying if, you know, we need our care, but yet the people who care for us, they need something, Cabot to offer something for them also. That's where I think the economic development would come in. And Amy has done a tremendous job up till now. You know, I know she's fixing to leave us. Let me rephrase that because y'all are going to think I'm talking bad about her. I love her to death. You know, she's fixing to leave us, and she's done a great job with economic development, but we need more. You know, we need this continued.
Well, we can't get that until we get better internet.
Right, right.
I mean, they don't want to come here.
And again, I want to say I fully, you know, I know some older people think that the internet is not as good. Well, let me tell you, I have an uncle that works at Langley, and with new things that are coming down the pipe, you will not know about it if you don't get this new internet. You know what I'm saying? There's reasons for it. I'm not in for a lot of change on stuff. I'm starting to get set in my ways. But we do need this. We really, really do. But we need more things offered, you know?
I agree.
Cabot has great potential.
It
It's
does.
always been a great little town. But we just need to get our priorities going.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's why, you know, just cleaning it up, bringing in the right footprint for internet.
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
And updating everything like it needs to be. And then from there, if, the patrons keep supporting us. Maybe in 5 more years, we can do another bond issue and do some of this other stuff. But we got to start with this first.
Yes, and I agree.
This is the base. Okay, Matt asked me about a timeline. Basically, we have to vote by April 5th to, looks like we have somebody else coming up.
Should I this off?
Did you wipe and everything listed out with the amount. We can't get any more than that amount if it passes, but we can take less than that amount if it passes. So if we put all these on there, it'll be, right here would be 9 different questions, 9 different things to vote on. So you'd vote on the internet, yes or no. You'd vote on the road repairs, yes or no. Police, yes or no, et cetera, when you go in to vote. So the council has to decide what amounts we put to each project and what we put on the ballot. So, like I said, April 5th is our cutoff for that. We're going to have more town hall meetings. So my question to you is, would you think we'd rather have them here for further, or do we want to divide them up in wards? Like Ward 1 has it, like over there by the school. Ward 2 has it in their area at one of the cafeterias. I'm just throwing it out here. Okay. Okay. Well, we'll get a list out by the end of the week of the next town hall, and we'll try to have 2 or 3 more of these as we whittle down where we need to be and what the costs are exactly to what needs to happen. So, any other comments? Seeing none, thank you so much for coming, and please email us or call us if you have any questions, and we'll be happy to answer. Thank you.